Hi, I'm Charles with YoraHome, and today we're going to be making some Christmas ornaments on the 6550. But first, we're going to play a quick video. All right, so we're going to be making some Christmas ornaments from scratch using the 6550 Pro tonight. So let's jump right in. So let's go ahead. If you can share my screen, I am going to go ahead and get started. All right. So on my screen right now, you can see that there is a file open. This is actually the test file that we have on our website. And if you want to use this test file, you can. You can go to yorahome.com/downloads. And all of our files are there, including this test file. And this is great. As you can see, I've already run it on this style of wood today so that I know exactly what settings to use. Um, so we can go ahead and we're going to click on, let's create a new project. And then let's go ahead and we're going to make our shape. All right. And let's grab a circle. Let's make another one. So we're going to make the loop section for the top. Just want those to intersect. We're going to go to the tools menu and we want to use, I usually use the Boolean assistant just because I can never remember which one. And as you hover over each of them, it will show you a preview of what it's going to actually do. Now, the one I want to use is union A or B, but I need to do something first because I forgot. So I'm going to go copy this and, well, actually, I don't need to copy it. What I'm wanting to do is offset the shape. So let's just go ahead and do that. So we're going to go to offset and I want it to be inward. And then let's turn it down a little bit. We don't want it to be that much. We want it to be, well, let's do 0.225, see what that is. No, I don't like that. So let's go with 0.3. Worse. All right, well, we'll go with that then. So now we can join these. So let's go ahead and we'll use the Boolean assistant again and click that and click OK. Now we've got our outside shape. So now we know what we're looking at. Now we can go ahead and let's grab a text tool. And for this one, I'm just going to have it say Merry Christmas. And then we will put this here. And let's see, I don't like this font. This is kind of boring. Now, I do have a ton of fonts loaded on here. Most of my fonts are from a site called creativefabrica.com. And you can also download them from 1001 Free Fonts, or there's a ton of places to get fonts. But the great thing is you can go in and you can see a live preview of what it is. So I actually kind of like this one. So let's go ahead. Let's move this up a little bit. And that's okay. So let's go ahead and I want to open up, not that one, apologize. I want to go to need something Christmassy. So let's go grab a Christmas. We're going to do two things. We're going to grab a Christmas ornament and we're going to, let's see, So let's see. I want to choose one that's not too crazy. So here we go. What do we have here? Oh, I want just actually. Let me look for because I want more of like a Christmas tree or um, just something to go with it. Let's grab. We'll use this. We're gonna take a part of this. So let's grab this, download it, and let's extract it. Now, you can use just about any file type when you're doing this. I am going to be using an SVG. So let me grab here and go into downloads. And this is it right here. So we'll do this. And then I'm going to grab the SVG right here. And you can see it's huge. So let's just move it down so that I can actually work with it. And I don't want the entire thing. I only want a little bit of this. So let's get rid of some of this. I only want this portion right here. So let's go ahead and group that. So I'm going to press Control G to group it. And then let's zoom in a little bit. So now let's move all of this around a little bit. And just so that you can see it a little bit better, I'm going to switch it to a filled layer. And you can do that on the bottom just by clicking one of the other layers and by going to the Cuts and Layers menu. And whatever the color that you have selected, you just choose Fill. And that will change how it looks. So now we can have this, move it around however we want. And let's make this just a tiny bit bigger. And that looks good. So that is a very easy and simple Christmas ornament. Now we're going to make two others, but does anybody have any questions really quickly? So before I jump over to the next step, like let's, answer some questions. So let me jump back over to, so one of the things that, or another place that is fantastic for resources is also Etsy. You can purchase and download thousands and tens of thousands of files there. Trying to think of any other places where you can download. We will actually put a list of places that we find in the comments later. So we will work on that for you now. And let's jump back into making a Christmas ornament. So the next one that we're going to do is we're going to make this one a little bit easier. So we're going to just go download an ornament. So let's go back to Creative Fabrica. And this time we are going to search for Christmas ornament. And let's just do laser cut. See what we get. There is a ton of results here, and all of these are compatible with any laser cutter, but especially ours. Let me see. We'll make this one just because it's multiple layers and it looks nice. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab this, and let me go ahead and unzip it. This, and we're going to import. And let's go in and we will grab our newest file. And once again, I'm going to just be using an SVG. So let's grab this SVG here. And you can see that it brought it in as two layers. Now, one thing that we need to set up is our layer, what each of our layers mean, and that's what our test files are fantastic for. Is to know what your engraving speed is, because that's the hardest thing to figure out is what speed do you want to run your engrave at, and then what speed and power do you want to run your cut file at. So let me see. I'm trying to figure out which camera would be best. I think this one. If you look on here and if you go download the file yourself, there are different speeds and different power measurements. And what you do is you just correlate them. So I'm going to be doing 3,000 millimeters per minute at 50% power whenever I engrave this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this blue layer to 3,000 millimeters at 50% power. And I'm going to set my line interval to 0.50. So now I have my engraving layer set. So anything that I want to engrave, I'm going to set to this blue color. So I know that I want to engrave this right here. So I want this to be blue. Now, the next thing that we need to do is set the cut layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to set red as the cut layer. So I'm going to select and ungroup this. And I just want the outside. And we're going to click right here on O2. And we're going to select, and you can see right here that once I change that color to red, then it only went to 2 layers instead of 3, because there are only 2 colors now. So all red right now is 400 millimeters per minute at 100 power, and we are going to use 200 millimeters per minute and 60% power. We're going to go 200. And then let's move this. So everything that I'm moving, I'm grouping it as I move it, just so that nothing moves on accident. So I'm going to grab this and group it, and then I'm going to grab this one and group. So this is a really quick example of how you can just grab something from Etsy or anywhere else, and you can create a quick cut file. Um, and like I said, the key here really is the test files. As long as you run a test file on any material, you'll know exactly what settings you need to use. So, all right, let's go ahead. I want to change this to where these are both the same size. So I'm going to change this one to 4.5 inches, or this one to 4.5 inches tall. So way they're a little bit more uniform. Oh, just a tiny bit. And then we're going to make one more. So this one we're going to go to Google. Let's type in Chris SVG, because we do want an SVG file, and we're just going to go to the Images tab. And now, here's where you can find a lot of fantastic ones through places like Etsy and others. But I'm going to see if I can find something that's free. Let me see if I can do SVG. No. I don't see like a design that I want. So one thing we can do, if we like something like this, say we want to use this one, we'll save the image. So here's a fun one. That's a JPEG, not an SVG. So one thing that you can do is use the trace, just trace the image. Now, take this. this. Okay. Now we have ornaments. And I am going to get these ready to cut. So I'm going to move this down to the bottom left, and then I'm going to run a frame. Move it just a tiny bit. So now we've got our baseline. Just need to move it a tiny bit over. Perfect. All right. And now we are going to hit start. And while this is engraving, I am going to wear these glasses and answer some questions if you have any. So let's jump over while this is engraving because this will take a moment. Jump over here. Yes. Etsy's a fantastic designbundles.com. I have not tried that, but I will definitely check it out. That's unfortunate. I'm sorry. Yes. And this is all being done on Lightburn. Now, the 6550 is compatible with laser Gerbil, but I am used to using Lightburn, so that is my preferred software. The method that I use to eliminate the lines. So that is called the Boolean assistant. And that is if you go into Lightburn and go to the, let me see, the tools tab, you can go down and there's different ones that you can choose, or you can choose the Boolean assistant, which will show you a live preview of what it's going to do. And I really appreciate that because I always forget which tool does what, and having that live preview of it is fantastic. And yeah, if anybody has any questions about Lightburn or how to do something in Lightburn, we can also do make this a little bit of a Lightburn question and answer as well. It's definitely never too late to upgrade. I think it's only $30 a year. Don't quote me on that. I haven't upgraded yet. I'm still on my first year. Um, but it is definitely something that I plan on keeping updated just because they do a great job of putting out updates every couple of months. And we are using the YoraHome honeycomb for this, and this makes it so much better than just putting it straight down onto bare metal or or just flat, basically. This raises it up and gets a little bit of airflow underneath it and helps you with the cutting process. So this is the YoraHome 6550 Pro, and it is a 10-watt optical, 80-watt machine power laser. I actually am not 100% sure on that. Let me, I will ask our tech our tech manager, and I will get back to you during this. Awesome. You are going to love it. This is a fantastic unit. Um, and I love it. I use it almost every day, just because, in my personal opinion, a laser is the fastest way to go from an idea to a finished product. We have another question. Can you use a 40-watt diode to cut? Yes, you can. It will just be a little bit slower than this, um, but it is perfectly capable of cutting eighth-inch plywood. Awesome. Let me see. And this is using Air Assist as well. I have it on at full. It does help with the engraving as well as the cutting. So if you don't have an Air Assist upgrade yet for your 6550, it's definitely something that I would recommend. It will change how you view your laser. It really, really, really makes it an incredible uh, engraving and cutting machine. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? All right. And the diode's estimated lifetime is 2,000 to 4,000 hours, and that's under the recommended normal use. And you can see more information about that by visiting yorahome.com and looking at the 6550 Pro or the 6550. So yes, absolutely. The type of wood makes a difference. Because if you're cutting something that's very hard, it's going to require more power. This is a softer birch plywood, and it will cut it like butter. But if you had a much harder, like a walnut, it would require a much slower speed and a much higher power. It could absolutely engrave on it and cut it. It takes a little bit longer. You have to run it a little bit slower. And that's where, once again, having test files for each of your materials is so handy, um, just so that you know exactly what to, or what speed and power you're going to be using. Absolutely. Any questions about anything to do with the 6550 or the 6550 Pro? If you go to yorahome.com forward slash, I think you can get to it through forward slash downloads, or you go to yourhome.com and click on support and knowledge base. And there is all kinds of articles in there. There's videos, anything you can think of. We've also got a section coming where we're going to start posting projects, and you can connect to our Facebook forum, which is actually a really popular way to see what other people are doing and get connected with other Your Home enthusiasts. Really, really recommend, if you do, want to see about the Your Home products, or if you own a Your Home product, definitely join our Facebook group. Um, it's a really vibrant group with over 6,000 people in it, and constantly see new and exciting things that people are doing and awesome projects that people are making with them. Yeah. So let's see if there's any more questions. Purchasing plywood for ornaments. So that is a fun one. And my latest place that I have been buying it is Amazon, just because that's the easiest place to get it. It's so hit or miss whenever you go to the big box stores. So right now, definitely, I we are recommending, I guess, Amazon for that. Test file for cutting. So that's a good question. So that is actually part of the test file. Let me just do it really quick. I'll bring it a little bit closer to the camera. So there is a cutting section on it, and you can see, your cutting speeds. So that is available at yorahome.com/downloads. Okay. Moving right along. Where can All right. Anybody else have any questions, comments, tips on where to get good designs or where to find fantastic resources for, laser engraving? Drop them in the comment section. Putting in a 90-degree bend at the airflow. So that is a good question. We will get with tech support on that and we will post an answer to that. No, you shouldn't need to do any because everything's done in percentages. So it's just going to give it 0 to 100% of 40 watts versus 0 to 100% of 80 watts. So the only thing that you would need to adjust is literally the section where it says uh, the 10 watt. You can adjust it to um, the 40 watt. And yes, I do recommend making it for each piece of material. If you actually could see, I have a stack of them that's for each material that I use, just so that, for reference, because it's a fantastic resource that saves me a lot of, oh man, that looks terrible. Let me redo it again. So definitely recommend always running a test file beforehand. It saves a lot of time and money. And while this is cutting, we'll go ahead and say to if you haven't already signed up for the Your Home newsletter as well, uh, go ahead and plug that. Um, we do have a fantastic newsletter where you can find tips and tricks. You can find out about the newest sale coming up, anything like that. It is our usual first line of notification. And while this is cutting, actually, if you want, we can jump back over to Lightburn and we can show some more examples of making some stuff while this is cutting. So let's do that. I don't feel like sitting here watching this cut the whole time. So let's make something. Make another ornament. Do the same thing. So I'm going to use the offset shapes, and we're going to do the same thing where we make the we're going to use the Boolean assistant again, and this is where a fantastic tool. We're going to union these. So we're going to get rid of that. And now we have our ornaments. Make this one a little bit different. Go in and like I said, we can choose just about any font that we want. And any font that you can find that is a true type or a true font format will work. You just have to load it into Windows, and Lightburn will automatically see it as a new font and load it in. Let's go get a new font. So let's go to 1001. And let's do Christmas. I actually like that one right there. So I'm gonna download this and go into my downloads. And let's extract this. And let's download the fonts. Okay. As soon as the font is downloaded, it will automatically one was called After Christmas. It is, of course, my computer is going to be a little bit slow right now. There it is right there. So this is the new font that we just got. So we can just put that however we want. And we're good to go. And that's how you load in a new font and design another very simple ornament. Jump back over here and see if there's any new questions. No, that is one unfortunate uh, downside is once you've done that, once you've unioned the two shapes, it's no longer two different shapes, it's one shape. So when you center, you're going to center it across the entire shape instead of the bottom shape. So I always will do all of that before I do a union. I'll make the union the last step that I do when I'm joining something. Um, that way I know that I've got everything lined up. Okay, so tumblers are, I feel bad saying this because they're more expensive, but I always run a test file, um, even with a tumbler, because every tumbler is going to be a little bit different. The coding for every color is going to be a little different. So it's really hard to say, go 2000 millimeters per minute and 50% power because I don't have any data to back that up without a test file. So I would definitely recommend, that's where starting on inexpensive tumblers is best. and you can run a test file, and then you can start getting used to it, because it is definitely something that takes some getting used to. And we are actually going to have a live stream next Thursday at 9 p.m. on the fourth axis and engraving. Don't know if it's on tumblers, but we're going to be engraving on round objects. I have not seen exactly what we are going to be doing it on, but we will have that information out for you guys this week or this weekend. So keep an eye out for that. Check our social media, or follow the or subscribe to the newsletter. So, let's see. Does anybody else have any questions about Lightburn? While we're here, we can answer some Lightburn questions. Unfortunately, I can't make the laser engrave any faster. We do try to be honest and show the actual engraving speed. Uh, so, but this is going to be a beautiful engraving, very deep, and normal for the x-axis stepper motor to get hot to the touch. Yes, actually, it is normal for the stepper motors to get hot, because there is a lot of current running through them. That one is actually pretty warm to the touch right now, and this has only been on for a few minutes longer than we've been live, so a little bit over 40 minutes. So it is normal for them to get pretty hot. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Coffee break. Yes. So laser Gerbil is capable of doing this, but you cannot create the file in laser Gerbil. You have to make the file in another program. We typically recommend Inkscape for that. That's a free design program. So yes, you can. We do, of course, recommend the honeycomb, just because it's the perfect size for the machine, and it also gets it up, the correct amount. And there's also a metal sheet that comes with it that you can't see right now, but there's a metal sheet underneath it that's protecting the table from getting burned. So it's two pieces. It's not one piece. There's a honeycomb piece, and then there's a metal sheet that slides underneath. But yes, you can use anything that will get it up off of the surface. I have seen people use baking sheets, uh, but you'll find sometimes, when I started, I tried that, and pieces would fall in between, and then they would be sticking up, and the laser would catch the piece. So not always the best thing. That's the great thing about the honeycomb, is it's very small holes, but there's a lot of them. So you get that airflow through there, but you still have the surface area to support your piece. For a newbie starting out. Absolutely. So we do offer an hour of one-on-one support with a YoraHome specialist, and they would be able to walk you through setting up your machine or creating your first project with your home. Yes, and if you have any questions, you can give us a call at 1-833-541-5997, and or email us at support@yorahome.com. I don't think the honeycomb is available without the metal base. It is a kit. They come together. We will actually throw a link to the honeycomb in the chat in just a second. And that was really a game changer for me when I got it, because before I was just using the baking sheet method, and it's such a big laser that it doesn't really, you I don't think there's baking sheets that are 26 inches by 20 inches. So having the correct size really opened it up to where I could do larger cuts and than I could before. Before I was, I could cut a little bit bigger than the piece that I was using, but I couldn't cut to the full size because there just wasn't the support there. And then any other questions about if you're starting out, what questions do you have about it? You can answer any questions that you have. You think your will ever make a ventilated cabinet? So I think that if enough people are interested in it, that your home would definitely look into that. Let me check with R&D, and the next time that we have an R&D update, we will make note of this and we'll include it. We do try to have our R&D team do a live every couple of months, just so that they can keep everybody up to date on what is what's new with YoraHome. And you can also go back and you can see any of our previous lives on any of your, wherever you prefer, YouTube or Facebook. I know on YouTube you can just go to lives and it will show all of the past lives as well. And I'm sure that Facebook and the others are the same way. All right, so there's the answer, I guess. Pre-production, and it will fit both the 6550 and the 6550 Pro, which is fantastic. And does anyone else have any questions on the 6550 Pro? Or so I don't think it is a 24-hour number. Um, I would say call between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern Standard Time would be the best time to call. And if no one is available at the time, someone will call you right back if you leave a message. Definitely, if you have any questions or need support, you can email support@yorahome.com and they will answer your question very quickly. No, you cannot add a CNC to that system, but on the reverse, if you have one of our CNCs, you can add a laser to it. And that's one that we're going to do a live on very soon is the Silverback, which is our biggest laser. And I'm sure we'll talk more about it then, but that is a 24-inch by 24-inch laser or CNC machine that you can also put a laser on. And I believe you can put up to the new 80-watt 10-watt optical output laser on it now. So it is a fantastic unit. I agree that the Silverback is a fantastic machine. Um, I would have one here, but it's a little bit too big to be on screen with us right now. So we are going to make do with the smaller machines that we have. And yes, the Silverback will accept any of the YoraHome diode modules. It is a fantastic piece of kit if you want to get into the carving side as well as the CNC laser engraving. And if anyone has questions on the C or the Silverback or any CNCs or honestly any YoraHome product, um, we do have a team of people here, so we can answer most any questions. We are focusing on the 6550 Pro for this one, but just any questions are accepted. So if you do want the all-in-one system, I would recommend the Silverback, just because you can't add a CNC carving machine to a laser. It doesn't have the structural strength to hold the forces of carving. So the Silverback is a much stronger, much uh, bulkier unit. Not bulkier. It's just a much stronger unit and it can withstand the forces of a router pushing against it. So, a laser is nothing to it. So if you are looking, I would definitely check out the Silverback. Or if you're just wanting to get started, we also have the Mandrel, which has a little bit smaller of a working area and a much smaller price, so you can get started and learn how to do CNC and learn how to engrave at the same time. Size difference between so there is no size difference between the 6550 and the 6550 Pro. There are feature differences. So the big feature differences are going to be the 6550 has two stepper motors, where the 6550 Pro has three stepper motors. The 6550 Pro has built in air assist, and it also has homing switches, a new 32-bit motherboard. It's too much to actually list. So if you want to go look at the 6550 page of yourhome.com, there's actually a comparison between that and the Pro, and it lists more of them of the differences, but there is no size difference. So this is the fill is what is making this take so long is because it's covering all of this white space where there's nothing. So right now it's just having to traverse all of this empty space. So I need to next time change that. For now, we will soldier on with this speed. Yes. A wise user was a wise user. When I first started out laser engraving, I was trying to go way too fast all the time because speed is money. And I was never really satisfied with the results because the faster you go, the less um, precise a laser can be. And it really, if you're wanting to have a really fantastic end result, then you're going to want to set the speed to the correct. You don't want to run it too fast. Otherwise, it's not going to look as good. So, for something like that, I am going to suggest reaching out to support. Give support a call because I'm not sure. It shouldn't. Let me think. I would suggest, I guess, unscrewing or loosening these two or this bolt in the end and then flattening it all and squaring it and then tightening it back up. Absolutely. This is a fantastic. If you're a woodworker and you really want to take any of your craft to the next level, a laser is going to be that next level for you. I started because I wanted to do cutting boards, and it takes a $20 cutting board and makes it a $60 cutting board just because you can take it and you can make it a personalized item that somebody's going to really cherish. We do have full troubleshooting videos at yorahome.com in our knowledge base. So if you do have questions or you want to find more information out, then you can check it out there. This is going to keep going. Do apologize as well. We had a little bit of trouble with our overhead camera, so I cannot zoom in with this one. So otherwise, I really want to show you how nicely this is engraving because it's doing such a fantastic job. Okay. It's definitely something to reach out to support about. Like I said, give them a call or reach out at support@yorahome.com, and they will be able to answer your question or help you with that. Yeah. So this is definitely something that will teach you patience is laser engraving because it's something where you want it to really get done quickly, but you want it to look good. So it's like you have to learn to wait. Check this. Okay. Yes, absolutely. Woodworking in general is just it's a lesson in patience. Let me see how much longer. Okay. This is where I also should have double checked the preview. All right. So I am going to, this is something new, but we're going to bring on the tech support manager. So does anybody have any questions for our tech support guru? Um, if you do, here's Jim. Hi, Jim.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Just wanted to get an opportunity in here for anyone that might have questions or address some of the questions that were already put into the chat, help out with that a little bit while we're waiting for the laser to run. Just wanted to scroll back up through here. I know we had a few questions going on. Let's see. Charles had already addressed that we are going to have a new live coming up soon regarding the fourth axis. I believe we are going to be doing tumblers on that, so that may come in pretty handy.
Absolutely.
We did mention with the honeycomb, it does come as a kit. The kit includes the honeycomb itself, that sheet metal piece to go underneath it. It also comes with some small laser cut wood pegs that can be placed down into the honeycomb and will help hold thinner materials in place. That way you don't have to worry about anything shifting on you. For Dad Pop 83, who asked about the ventilated cabinet, mentioned, we are working on that right now. I believe Tony's got the prototype in hand right now and has been working on a couple of the fine tuning points with it. That will include a fan. It'll have a pass through for all your cabling. What we're working on right now is getting the lid set up right so that you have the ability to reach in, position your work as necessary. Let's see here. You talked about the CNC capability. As Charles mentioned, unfortunately, the laser engravers are not able to support that. They don't have the motorized Z-axis. They don't have the spindle control, and the structure is just not there. If you look at the structure of the CNC machines like the Silverback, for lack of a better term, it sandwiches the material in between the workbed and the cutter. So as it presses down, it can't go anywhere. So that'll keep it from causing any damage. Let's see.
So, am I allowed to ask a question?
I won't even charge you extra for that one.
Excellent. What about the camera? How are we coming on the camera?
Cameras, we talked about those briefly on the last R&D live. I've got all the brackets in-house right now. I'm going to be cutting the aluminum extrusions to get those ready to go here, hopefully this week. I know Tony's working on getting me all the 3D printed mounts for the camera and all the cable stays. So hopefully we will be able to get that out here very soon.
Fantastic. That is one thing that I am very excited about. That's really going to change how a lot of people engrave, because having the ability to place it with picture perfect accuracy is just such a game changer.
Definitely going to be a huge deal for a lot of the users out there.
Absolutely.
We have a new question. Richard is asking if it's better to get two separate systems.
That's a good question.
That is a good question, and it really comes down to what you want for your capabilities. We personally have multiple systems here at our shop because that allows for faster production. One caveat to running a laser on the Silverback is with the 6550 and the 6550 Pro, these are belt-driven machines on rollers. The Silverback, the Mandrill, and even the 3018 are all screw-driven. They will run a little slower. You cannot get the same speeds out of a screw-driven machine as you can a belt-driven machine. So there are a lot of people that have started out with just the Silverback or just the Mandrill, and then ultimately have moved forward and picked up a 6550 just to help speed up their production line.
Absolutely.
It really comes down to what sort of production rate you're needing to work on.
Because a lot of times you will find where you're like, all right, I'm ready to do the next one, and you don't have the space because you have to move on to or you have to put the laser in and go over the same space again.
And inevitably, you're going to be working on a 3D carve on the Silverback. The next thing you know, it's a 16-hour carve. Well, nobody wants to just sit there and watch that thing carve all day. So why not grab your 6550 and start burning another project, kill two birds with one stone?
Absolutely.
Just make sure you've got enough workspace, because as Charles mentioned, they take up some room.
Yes. That is one thing that I will say is this thing has the workspace. And that's originally why I chose YoraHome, was because of the bed size, because I make cutting boards. And people like big cutting boards. It's an unfortunate fact of the world is people like bigger things like that. So people were asking for larger cutting boards than I could engrave on my standard laser. So I started looking around, and this was the biggest one that I could find. And so I jumped in, and I have loved it ever since.
And it's not just people in Texas. It's all over the place. All right. Charles, you kind of touched on, from a tech support standpoint, one thing that we offer to all of our users, all of our customers, you're entitled to a free hour. We will do video calls, phone calls, walk you through things, whatever it takes to get your machine up and running. That's something that we've offered for the last couple of years now. And
It is fantastic.
these sometimes these machines can be a little confusing. It really comes down to the user ability. But if you looked on our YouTube channel, we've got one user that his 8-year-old daughter helped him assemble that machine. I know I've personally helped a 83-year-old woman get her 6550 up and running. There's no limit to what you can do with these or who can do it. You don't have to be a computer expert. You don't have to be a mechanical engineer. A little bit of mechanical aptitude might help with assembly, but we can get you through that.
Absolutely. And that's where the Facebook group also comes in, super handy, is you can get a lot of inspiration from that. Like, I go in there all the time and see what people are making with their 6550s. And, it's just, all right, I'm going to go out to the garage and I want to start making something now, because you see other people doing it. You get that inspiration.
Yep. Yeah. We're starting to see a lot more projects coming up. With the holiday season, you're probably going to see a lot more people posting what they've been working on.
Absolutely.
As
Ornaments are going to be
we're going to get some of that into the knowledge base as well. We've got that area where we can start posting projects. We also have the community forum. We understand that not everybody is a Facebook user. Not everybody's comfortable with Facebook. So we did start a community forum as well. I'll get a link up for that. There's also a link to that on our homepage. It is still growing. It's a fairly new addition to the YoraHome family of resources, but you're more than welcome to come in there. People are posting their projects, posting their questions.
Yes. And that's another, it's YoraHome family. It's, I guess, all I can say about it. Everybody from the Facebook group, knowledge base, everybody's trying to help you succeed. So it's a great thing.
And while we mentioned that, customer service phone lines are staffed from 9 to 6, we're willing to work with people. We understand that not everybody is available during the day. Tech support, we can have some flexibility. If you need that one-on-one session at 8 o'clock at night, there's a good chance we'll be able to accommodate that. All you have to do is let us know that you need that help. Ask, and we will do everything we can to help you out.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, but by all means, if you've got any other questions, please post them. We'll try and answer them as best we can.
Absolutely.
How are we doing on that burn there, Charles?
So we are 60% of the way through. 60%. So let's see. 1 second.
Jim loves doing calls. That's like, yeah.
For those that have struggled with light burn, check out our YouTube channel as well. We did a Creators Night video a few months back where Sean Nelson went through and tried to take the mystery out of light burn. So that, I think, was a good hour and 20-minute long video where he basically went through every menu option out there. So yes, there's multiple software packages you can use to run these, but Lightburn seems to be the most powerful one out there. I know there's a lot of people that just aren't comfortable with it. You can run Laser GRBL. As we mentioned, you're going to have to do a lot more pre-project editing in Inkscape, and that's basically just due to limitations of the software. A few months back, we actually sat down, myself with Diego, who is the developer of Laser GRBL, and had some discussion about his software and how we've worked with it on our machines, and just kind of got a feel for what he's got coming down the pike. So you can actually see that on his YouTube channel. We've also posted it on our blog, so you can see that too.
try
Looks like
to
we're
put
making
a
some,
link into that.
looks like we're making some progress there on the ornaments.
Absolutely. We are making progress, but just not.
Well, we got past those first two.
Just a second.
Checking to make sure we addressed all the questions that came up in the chat for you.
And then if anyone has questions or wants, we can probably set up to do a video on Lightburn. But the thing that we need to know is, what do people want to know about Lightburn? Because what do you want to see? So if you have any questions or tips for future videos, drop them in the comments.
Or by all means, email them to support@yorahome.com. It will get routed to the appropriate people. We're always looking for more ideas for these live sessions. We've come up with the schedule based on what we're seeing for common questions in support, what newer items are coming out, that sort of thing. But if you've got questions or there's a topic that you'd really like to see, let us know and we'll try and get that set up and put it on the schedule. We are going to be trying to do these weekly as much as possible, barring holidays and whatnot. We do have to take the occasional day off, but and I know one question that has come up with Lightburn is about that renewal. Lightburn is a $60 license. And what I always like to tell people is that license is good for your lifetime or theirs, whichever comes first. If you are happy with the feature set that is in the version of Lightburn that you're running, you never have to pay another dime if you choose not to. But after 1 year, you will not be eligible to download updates to the software without renewing. I don't know if they're still doing it. I would have to check, but I know that if you were you have to renew through the Lightburn website. We cannot offer that service. We can only sell the initial license. But I know that if you renewed early, they were actually throwing in an extra 2 months on your license.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So that would get you 14 months of updates for that $30 charge.
I think I still have 3 or 4 months on my license, but I'm going to go check it out and see. If they are offering a deal like that, then it is definitely time for me to buy a license update.
They were doing that. I don't know if it's still active. I haven't checked in the last few weeks. Let's see.
Definitely, in my opinion, at least, it's definitely worth it. I love the program. I use it exclusively now, and it is fantastic just because you can do all of the design work and output at the same time. I think that's such a fantastic resource.
It does have a lot more flexibility. Well, one other thing that I know we touched on in our discussion internally here the other day, Charles, is there's a lot of potential customers out there that are coming from the world of scrapbooking and whatnot that are using Cricut or Silhouette machines.
Absolutely.
And if any of those people are out there, Lightburn is very, very similar to their design tools. In fact, depending on what version of their design tools you have, you can actually do your design work in that tool and save it as an SVG that could then import into Lightburn.
Yes. As long as it's an SVG, you can open from any program. SVG is a fantastic vessel for a vector file in that regard.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of, well, I shouldn't say a lot. We've had a fair number of customers that have moved from the Cricut Silhouette world of vinyl cutting and into laser engraving because they want to expand their capabilities, expand their business.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably something that goes, hand in hand, because they're both vessels for customizing. And this is just the absolute best method, I think, because you can do it on so many different mediums.
Now, keep in mind, you never want to laser engrave on vinyl.
That is correct.
There are a lot of materials that are not safe to laser on, so make sure you are aware of that. There are a couple of sheets out there. We're going to be getting that added to our knowledge base that identify which materials are safe to laser on and which are not. The reason for that, especially with vinyls, is the polyvinyl chloride compounds, when they are exposed to a laser, will generate chlorine gas, which not only can be fatal to persons, but can also be a major issue for the equipment. So just because you've got a ventilation fan running doesn't make it any safer.
No, it will literally destroy your laser. Very caustic.
Yes. I was hoping we'd get a few more comments in here.
I know. I'm looking for. I like answering the questions. It's exciting. I was hoping for some more questions, especially now that we've got you on here. Where are the hard hitting questions?
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Now's the chance to hit the questions up with
maybe
the
it's
14.
So what's your biggest your favorite feature that was upgraded on the 6550 Pro from the 6550?
Predominantly the integration factor. The fact that we went from a 6550, which was a fairly decent machine. There's no problems with the 6550 itself. It's a great entry level machine, but a lot of the feedback that we got was those nice features were an add-on. Because can you get drag chains for a 6550? Sure, we got those available. We've got an air assist available, although we are coming up with a new one here very soon. You've got the 32-bit controller board, but instead we took all those features, everything that everybody was asking for, and made it a part of the new machine.
And it is still one of the only ones, I believe, that does come with an air assist. Very few of them actually come with an air assist from the factory. That isn't usually an add-on. That's a few $100.
Yep, definitely one of those things that we wanted to be out front with. Oh, wait. We got another question from Richard. Let's throw this up here. So, specializing in wood products for cross stitchers, quilters, and scrapbookers. Looking for a decent laser for wood and plastic. As questions go, don't know what to ask right now. And importing files for engraving, what can or cannot be used in Lightburn. Okay, to start up on the first one, lasering on plastic, that's going to really come down to the plastic compound. Again, some plastics work okay. Others will cause very, very severe damage. That might be a better case for, depending on what you're cutting out, using the CNC feature on the Silverback. Absolutely. Now, as far as Lightburn, what files can and can't be brought in, you should be able to bring in all common image files, a JPEG, a bitmap, all those can be brought in. They won't bring in and do the cutout like what Charles has been showing today. A image file like a JPEG or bitmap will come in as an image, and it will try to dither it or grayscale it. You've probably seen a lot of examples on our website or in the users group of people doing photo engraving. That's that dithering grayscale effect. And then the most common one is SVG for doing those cutouts.
Yes.
I don't know if there's any. Will PNGs work with it?
So it will open almost any vector file. It will open an EPS. It will open a PDF. I use PDFs constantly. And any basic vector file as well. And then you also have the fantastic feature, which is the vectorize feature, which is the trace.
I know that was one that you touched on it when you brought that file, that JPEG file in, but you really went through it quick. Maybe take a minute.
I can go through it again really quickly. So give me 1 second. Let's see.
Yeah, we'll get your desktop brought back up, and then we can cut away from the burn cam for a moment while you go over that.
So I'm just going to go find an image of something that I like. This is from Creative Fabrica, so I know that I can get this as part of my subscription. So let's see. There should be a transparent PNG. Perfect. So that is not a vector file. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that file. Let's go to the downloads. It's not there. So we need to extract the file first. Forgot to do that.
Minor detail.
Just minor. Get into that and refresh this. Let's open the PNG file. Take a second because PNG files are pretty heavy files. You can see that it brought it in, but it's got this big border around it. So this, we can't really do anything with this from an engraving. And you can see that it says image over here. So a fantastic thing that this has built in is you go to Tools and Trace Image, and it will bring this up. And you can see here that there is an outline around. I can't really see with these glasses on, but there is like this reddish outline around each of the things. And if you want to change it a little bit, you can change the threshold. And by changing the threshold, it will, if you have something that it's not picking up, change the threshold a little bit and it will usually pick up that line, and you just click OK. And once you're out of it, you move the image, and you have your traced image. So now these are vector. So you could cut this, you could trace this, you can do whatever you want with this. And it's just as easy as that. It's just one button click.
Richard had another question here real quick. Is leather okay to burn? No. Try to stay away from plastics, but yeah, customers want what they want to see. Leather is okay to burn. However, you are going to want to have a lot of ventilation. Any organic materials, we've had people do leather, antlers, bull horns, etc. It will stink to high heaven. It is a very, very noxious odor. Well, anybody that's ever experienced burnt hair, multiply that by about 10 times, and that's what you're going to get with leather.
Absolutely.
We were recently doing some leather work on our CO2 laser, and even with the CO2 lid closed and the vent fan or exhaust fan running, which is a huge 6-inch duct, you could still smell it in the showroom.
Leather it turns out fantastic. I've made a few hats, and that's actually something that I'm going to be making on a video soon, is making a new YoraHome hat with a leather patch. So that is, keep an eye out for that at some point.
Looks like we're in cut mode now here, Charles.
Absolutely. We are cutting. So it is slowed down considerably because it is cutting, but it will be done in just a second. And there is a full list on our website at yorahome.com of everything that you can engrave with this, because it is a lot more than just wood. You can do wood, slate, you can do glass as long as it's treated properly.
The Norton white tile method, a lot of people are using that. I know there's a handful of users that have also got to pick the speed up and the power down, doing it on canvas.
Yep. I've seen some amazing thing from from people doing canvas, doing some portraits. It looks fantastic.
The thing to remember, and I know you touched on it earlier, we talked about, speed up, slow down to go faster. The key to remember with your laser engraving is that speed and power work inversely to one another. running at a faster speed is a lower effective power. A slower speed is higher effective power. It's how much residence time the laser has to act upon the material.
And
So
once you actually run a test file and you can actually sit there and look at it, you'll really see that, because once you start getting into the higher speeds, it really starts to fade.
yeah, I've just, in the tech support realm, I've seen a lot of people that said, well, I sped it up and turned the power up down and I didn't get any better results.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to change one or the other. Making both changes simultaneously can kind of shoot yourself in the foot a little bit, so to speak.
Absolutely. And
So
just going into it blind without knowing it is even tricky, because if you're cutting something and you don't know that you have the correct cut settings, you might have to cut it twice. So it's always better to know.
It is a balancing act, and as you mentioned, that test file is a huge factor in this, because thicker materials may require multiple passes, and if you go at too high a power, you will get a lot of charring on the edge. One thing we did find, a caveat to burning on or cutting through plywood: the source that you get your plywood from can be a major factor in how well it's going to cut. Around here, we've got three of the big, let's call them the big box home improvement stores. You've got Lowe's, you got Home Depot, and you got Menards. And we were trying to work with 5mm Luan board. So very similar in construction to the material we're working with now, just a little bit thicker. Even on our CO2 laser, the Luan that we got from Lowe's was cutting like butter. The stuff from Home Depot took a couple passes, usually, sometimes 3 passes. And I don't know what kind of adhesives they use at the Menards lumber yard, but that stuff was like kryptonite even to the CO2 laser.
That's the thing, is that really is the crux of it, is the glue.
Yes.
I think that's what really stops it, is depending on how they applied the glue.
Yeah, the adhesive layers in plywood are a major factor in how well your results are going to be. So if you're trying to do a project and you've gotten your wood from just your local store and it's not working right, don't give up. Don't get frustrated because, well, this laser is not cutting. It might very well be the material. And I would recommend try and find another source for your material. We mentioned Amazon, Craft Closet. There's a few others out there. There are some companies that are selling woods that are labeled as laser compatible, and they're usually a softer wood. They know that the adhesives in them are not anything that's so hard to cut through that it's going to cause hate and discontent.
And I cut this is 1/4 inch Luan that I cut the other day on this. I cut, it will cut through 1/4 inch like butter as well. And but I have also had 1/4 inch plywood before that I couldn't cut through, just because it was the glue was, I think, outdoor rated.
I think a lot of the laser compatible woods that are sold are typically a water-based glue as opposed to a solvent-based glue, which has a lot to do with it.
See, we should have you on more often, because we learn things. I
try.
learning stuff. All right, we are almost over the finish line. Getting there. So before we wrap this up this afternoon or this evening, does anybody have any questions or any last questions?
I think this is one of the longest lives we've had yet. So
It is.
Perfect opportunity for you to chat with people and ask those questions.
And if you have any questions for the next live, like I said, we are going to be talking about the 4th axis. So get your questions ready for that. So anything tumbler related, or anything spherical that you want to do on that you want to laser engrave, just get your questions ready and either message them on Facebook to us through here, support@yorahome.com. We take questions in any form.
If you're on Facebook, you can use Facebook Messenger at YoraHome or YoraHome Printers. We see all those comments and we can answer them as best we can. For all tech support, we do appreciate an email because what that does is it gets it into our support ticket system that allows us to track any history that you've had with any of our machines, which we can help you better if we know what's happened in the past. We can look up that history.
Absolutely. And if you are going to email as well, it does help to let us know what machine you have as well.
Probably one of the biggest points for if you're emailing in, if at all possible, use the email that you used for your order. Our ticketing system can access the customer database for the orders and identify which machines you have for us. But we do occasionally get, everybody's got multiple email addresses nowadays. And if you're using a different email, it may take us a little bit longer to find that information.
And it does really help because it is truly, depending on the laser or the machine, it is going to be a different answer.
Yep. Yeah. Sometimes we can find it by name, but you'd be surprised how many Mike Smiths there might be in our database.
All right. So we are almost 75% of the way there.
Yeah. Looks like
it is cutting fantastic.
Looks like we're on the second to last cutout there, and then we should be done.
Yep. And I can already see that the first two, they've dropped. You can see once you get used to laser engraving, you'll notice that they shift a little bit, and I always call it dropping. And it's just, I can tell it's loose. So it's not going to be any trouble coming out. So cut it perfectly. Jim, you did a fantastic job with this. I really do like the 6550 Pro.
Well, that was our entire R&D team. Oh, wait. While we're in that last cut, got another question from Richard here real quick. When engraving actual size, and for example, exact lines for inch marks or even 1/8 inch marks have a specific product they want that's a measuring tool, can that be done accurately?
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. As long as your design is accurate, you're going to be accurate with your laser engraving. Resolution that we see with these is down to 0.01 millimeters. So you should be able to get that quite accurate. You mentioned measuring tools, Richard. I've actually got one customer here local to us here at the showroom and warehouse area that is producing fuel gauges, basically a fancy stick with marking on it for Ford Model A's.
That's interesting.
And he is selling them around the country. So, people want those things to be accurate. So he's able to market those pretty well to his customers.
The accuracy of these is fantastic. The other day I needed to do something where I needed a 4-inch square, and I literally came out and I cut a 4-inch square out on a piece of 1/8 inch plywood just because it's easier than drawing a 4-inch square on something. I'm going to be sad if I ever don't have a laser just because I use it for everything now.
I've honestly used it for templating, so to speak.
Yep.
I was using the 6550 Pro to cut out to engrave on some of our aluminum business cards. And I was able to put a piece of scrap wood down for positioning, just burned a quick rectangle, the shape of the business card at a very high speed, low power. That told me where to set the business cards every time. So I could set them down on that mark and then use that to get the repeatability I needed to do a batch of cards.
That's fantastic for anything like that.
Yeah. So it looks like all of our cutouts are complete. Let me switch cameras there on you, Charles. Hold on a second.
Yep. Sorry. I was just going to say we have a beautiful engraving.
So, and we'll probably get some pictures of these up
Yep.
to go into the comments onto the Facebook group, so you'll be able to see a close up of that.
Absolutely.
Well, I think
And-
we're going to get wrapped up here soon, so I'm going to drop out, Charles, and I'll let you wrap everything up.
All right. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us, and have a fantastic week. Oh, I can take these off now. I can see. Like Jim said, we are going to take some pictures of these, and we will get them posted soon. And have a fantastic weekend. Talk to you guys later.